Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a botanical phenomenon that honestly feels way more like high-end art than standard biology. I want you to just imagine a single wild vine clinging to a tree somewhere deep in French Polynesia. Now picture that exact same vine fracturing over time into this breathtaking, astonishing spectrum of living art, the very same art that might literally be sitting right in your living room today. We're going to explore what's called the Great Cultivar Spectrum, and I promise you, you'll never look at that potted plant in the corner of your room exactly the same way again. So how does this happen? Well, it all really comes down to this concept of genetic fracturing. You see, once the Epipremnum Aureum, or what we usually just call the pothos, secured its biological foothold across the globe, its highly adaptable DNA started doing something pretty extraordinary. Over decades of cultivation, just these subtle genetic mutations combined with intensive human selection completely warped this single wild vine into an amazing spectrum of distinct visual lineages. What started out as just your standard uniform green survivor out in the wild morphed into the incredible aesthetic forms we see today. All right, let's dive right into Exhibit 1, the Golden Pothos, the absolute wild matriarch of the bunch. This one is basically the baseline of the indoor jungle, right? It's characterized by those really rich, deep green leaves splashed with these totally unpredictable, brilliant brushstrokes of creamy yellow. Now, this specific cultivar is the closest living relative to those wild vines you'd actually find scaling the trees in French Polynesia. And the microscopic science behind those gorgeous golden flecks, it's something called a sectoral chimera. Basically, this is a very specific genetic mutation where certain cell layers just straight up lose the ability to produce green pigment, or chlorophyll. So the green patches are packed with dense, highly active chlorophyll doing all the heavy lifting of photosynthesis, while those golden flecks, that's the chimera mutation in action. It's just wild. This plant has somehow managed to find the absolute perfect balance between aggressive, wild-growing vigor and stunning domestic beauty. Moving right along to Exhibit 2, we have the Marble Queen. Just pure, unadulterated elegance. Emerging in mid-century nurseries as this highly sought-after sport mutation, the Marble Queen really pushes the extreme boundaries of botanical survival. It represents a massive departure into this pure, almost architectural elegance. Now look at this number, 70%. If you check out high-resolution macro photography of a Marble Queen leaf, you'll see these incredibly intricate speckled boundaries where deep green meets stark snow white. But get this, an astonishing 70% of that leaf surface is completely devoid of chlorophyll. Think about that. It has sacrificed nearly 3/4 of its energy-producing surface area purely for this striking visual mutation. And that perfectly illustrates the real biological cost of all that beauty. Because the Marble Queen is missing so much of that crucial chlorophyll, it grows at just a fraction of the speed of its golden sister. Actually, it demands much brighter indirect ambient light just to maintain its baseline energy levels. Compare that to the Golden Pothos, which will happily and rapidly grow in almost any dark, low-light corner you stick it in. So the Marble Queen essentially trades that rapid growth for its highly intricate snow-white elegance. But because of that incredible pixelated marbling, it achieves something totally brand new. It literally transformed the pothos from a simple, dusty office plant into a living centerpiece of interior architecture. It stopped being just a biological survivor scrambling for light and truly became an icon of high-end interior design. It fits so seamlessly into modern living spaces. It's basically a functional piece of art. All right, shifting gears a bit, here is Exhibit 3, the Neon Solar Flare. So, leaving those elegant whites and dark greens behind, we are stepping right into the realm of the surreal. If you've ever seen one of these in person, you already know. Its leaves are totally solid, and they seem to glow with this almost blinding electric lime yellow energy. But how does it pull that off? Through modified chloroplasts. In the neon pothos, the genetic code has literally stripped away all of those dark green pigments. When you check out its cells under a microscope, they reveal this highly modified chloroplast structure that reflects yellow-green light wavelengths with just intense, almost aggressive efficiency. It doesn't just sit there adapting to the light in your room, no. It acts like a visual solar flare that totally redefines the space. Next up, let's take a look at Exhibit 4, Sculpting Architectural Botanicals. As the whole indoor plant boom really exploded over the last 20 years or so, breeders weren't just looking for funky new colors anymore. They started hunting for tighter, more architectural shapes. And this obsession, it gave rise to boutique cultivars like the Manjula and the Enjoy. These have highly unique asymmetrical leaves shaped like hearts or little shields, featuring large, solid blocks of milky white surrounding a dark green center. So, why do these boutique plants look so structurally different from the classic vines? Well, it all comes down to internodes. An internode is simply the space on the stem between each individual leaf. Through careful human engineering and selection, these modern varieties feature severely shortened internodes. The result? Instead of long, wild, sweeping jungle vines, you get this incredibly compact, slow-growing, sculptural mound of foliage. Honestly, it looks way less like an invasive vine and much more like a carefully crafted piece of porcelain art sitting on a gallery pedestal. Finally, let's arrive at Exhibit 5, the Cebu Blue edge. Now, this is where the family tree crosses paths with entirely different species that usually just get casually lumped under the pothos name at your local garden center. Native to the island of Cebu in the Philippines, this plant features beautiful, elongated, lance-shaped leaves that have this very distinct, metallic, almost silvery blue sheen to them. The secret behind that striking color? It lies in something called iridioplasts. These are microscopic structures inside the leaf cells that physically manipulate light wavelengths. It's basically a biological magic trick designed to maximize photosynthesis in the super deep dark shade of the Philippine jungle canopy. And what's really wild is that the Cebu Blue is actually Epipremnum pinnatum, a completely different species than the Golden Pothos. Yet here it is, sitting right on the outer taxonomic edge of our aesthetic spectrum, perfectly adapted to low light, while looking, quite frankly, incredibly futuristic. So, taking a step back for a second, the sheer variety here is just a living testament to this lineage's radical malleability. We've got the resilient, sun-flecked Golden Pothos, the delicate, slow-growing Marble Queen, the electric, uniform neon, the compact architectural Manjula, and all the way out to that metallic, shade-adapted Cebu Blue. It's a botanical lineage that has successfully morphed, mutated, and been meticulously sculpted by us to fit absolutely every human aesthetic taste you could possibly imagine. But, to truly understand these plants, we can't just stop at the foliage. Up to this point in the explainer, we've really just been admiring the varied visual spectrum of the leaves. But now, in our minds at least, we need to descend past those stems, right past the porcelain-like mounds and creeping vines, and go straight down into the gritty, dark potting soil. Because down there lies the shared ecology that feeds every single one of them. It's a universal root chemistry that is just as complex, if not more so, than the beautiful leaves up above. And that leaves us with a massive, foundational question. Whether those leaves are blindingly neon yellow, perfectly marbled white, or metallic blue, what is the hidden chemical engine beneath the soil that actually fuels all this living art? We've explored the stunning gallery of the leaves today, but the real power of the pothos? It lies buried in the dark earth. So next time you water your plant, I want you to look at that soil and ask yourself, what kind of microscopic machinery is down there silently running the whole show? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and keep questioning what's beneath the surface.